Rick, good to see you.
Hello, Keith Jones.
Man, I thought we'd do a show that was inspired by a story that was told most recently at the Lung Transplant Symposium here at Mayo Clinic in Arizona. The title of the podcast is going to be called Ready Chris. Our great friend John DeCuna, who we both know, and he's a dear, dear friend of me, one of my best friends, and you met him too, Rick, when we came to your house and broke bread. John is the chair of cardiac thoracic surgery at Mayo Clinic, and he has been instrumental in bringing the lung transplant program back to Mayo Clinic and here in Arizona so we can help a lot of folks who are desperately in need. And it's been a heavy lift, and he has done it tirelessly, joyfully, and with incredible servant leadership. And so he put together this long symposium and where everyone who's going to be involved, whether they are going to be heavily involved or lightly involved, he's invited all of them for this training to really get trained on lung transplant, from pharmacists to social workers to surgeons to advanced practice providers to quality people, pulmonologists, you name it, anybody that's involved in this work. And I've met so many other people, nurses. He's invited them to be a part of this and learn together to really create a strong team. And the way he's done it has been with storytelling, humor, but most importantly, making everyone feel valued, Rick. No matter how big or small their role may be viewed by others, he's made them feel like they are a partner of equal measure. And so one of the people that he had to present was her name is Sina, and she works in quality. She's been Mayo Clinic for 20 years. She's a lovely person, and just leads with an open heart. So she came and she presented a story, a patient story, and which inspires this podcast. And I want to tell you a little bit about it, and then just have you kind of share what comes to you after I share the story. The guy who was a recipient of a transplant. I think he got the transplant at Mayo Clinic in Florida, and his name is Jorge Bacardi. So he's from the Bacardi family. Uh,
Wow.
yes, and so he got a transplant, and the person who the donor was a guy named Chris. And I've had the great opportunity to go on organ procurements with my friend John, and when you walk into a hospital, the first time I was walking in one with him, in which we had flown to a city to go, and we were going to get a heart. And when we went to go get this heart, we were going through a hospital that I was unfamiliar with. John may have been there before, but they kind of direct you to how you get to the OR. And as we were walking down the hall, John kind of pauses to stop, and the rest of us who are with him, the members of the surgical team, are with him. We all stop, and there was a procession going down the hallway that was intersecting with the path that we were on, and it was a family, and they were doing an honor walk. And this is a walk in which the donor is being wheeled into the OR, and the family is walking with them in this honor walk to pay their final respects to the patient, and to also honor the gift that they're giving to others. Because a transplant, somebody who's an organ donor can affect 10, 20, 25 lives with what they do, but by giving this gift. And so I've seen that, and I was moved by this honor walk of the family. So John has really allowed me to pull me behind the curtain to see how just beautiful this gift of life to others, and this sacrifice. And the one thing about Jorge is when he got the organ from Chris, there was a way in which he honored Chris and continues to honor him every time. So he told this story at Mayo Clinic, and I'll put the link in our notes for this particular show. And when Jorge was giving he gave this talk, he shared about what he does as a contribute to everyone else after he got these new lungs from Chris. Is every time he goes and he does his exercises, is you have to do these breathing exercises. That's part of the therapy to get the lungs to really function properly when they've been transplanted. And every time he does it, Rick, he takes a deep breath in, and when he's about to exhale, He says, ready, Chris? And so he started teaching all these other people as part of his giving back that had new lungs. He would take them through these breathing exercises. And before he would start with everybody, he would say, you ready, Chris? To the lungs that Chris gave him inside, Rick. I just get chills. And so Cena told this story, and as she began her talk, she told everybody the same thing. I want you to take a deep breath in, and when you do it, I want you to say, ready, Chris? And so, Rick, I just think about when I'm about to go into a situation and I want to bring my best self, Keith 2.0, in a situation to where if I'm not intentional, if I'm not mindful, I would bring 1.0 in there, who's not going to listen, who's going to be defensive, who's going to be in fear and anxiety to a situation. And I want to say, you ready, Keith? You ready 2.0? Because that's who we need in this conversation. We don't need somebody who's going to be competitive, who's going to blame, who's going to come in full of guilt and shame and all these other things that don't help nurture a relationship or don't help you really work toward resolving a problem. Like, whether it's with other people or with a situation, you need your best self. You need your higher angels to be working that. And so with Jorge is Chris, and I was so inspired by that that when I go to the pickleball court, that's what I want to be thinking. You ready, Keith 2.0? Because that's who we need on the court right now. We need to be not about the score, but about being the best teammate you can be. When I walk into Mayo Clinic, I did this thing called you have to badge yourself in. So I did this podcast called Badge Access Only that Keith 1.0 doesn't have a badge, so he's not allowed to go in. Only 2.0 can go in. And so that's my way of saying, you ready, Keith 2.0? Because that's who's going to work today. And when I have conflict that I need to bring my best self to the conversation, that's who I want to be at that conversation because it will be constructive. I can't control what the other person will do, but my role will be constructive. It will be loving and it will be open-hearted. So, Rick, we only have maybe 1 or 2 minutes here, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Wow. Well, knowing John and you, I'm not surprised that there was a moment of grace where he recognized the importance of the family's grieving as well as his patient's relief at being given the gift of life, a second life. So I guess the first overwhelming feeling that I have is this enormous gratitude for people like John and you who recognize it, and people like Chris who made the donation, whose family supported that. So the gratitude, I think, is a vitamin. The gratitude in life, the opportunity for gratitude is an opportunity for health. And when you say that gratitude made an opening for you so that you could now bring your best self by being inspired over that gratitude, that really explains a lot. And I think that people don't see that connection necessarily, but it's there. Being grateful is a superpower. Being grateful opens up doors that are closed to you. Being grateful allows you to be humble in the moment, to enjoy life, and to be aware of what a gift you are to the world in the sense that you have the opportunity to speak your mind, the opportunity to help others, the opportunity to do good. And inspired gratitude is a force of nature, man. Congratulations on that one, too. I'm
Oh,
saying congratulations to you today, man.
no,
Great job, man. That's
great,
something.
great. Thank you. Yeah, my gratitude is for John for creating these courses, these two events over the last few months for the staff at Mayo Clinic to do this. And my gratitude to Cena for sharing the story about Jorge Bacardi and Chris. Which inspired me so much. And just think about that, Rick. You see people that have tattoos, that inspire them, people that will wear bracelets on a regular basis that inspire them. What about taking a breath?
Yeah,
Whenever you take a deep breath, to remind it about the generosity and goodness of people and to have that guide how you move through life and interact with other people. How can that not have a positive impact on the human to human connection, Rick?
so true.
Like I mean, just it's just beautiful, man. So Rick, thank you for today, man. I love you.
Hey, thank you for that wonderful story. It's powerful. It's powerful, Keith. That really is powerful. I think John would appreciate hearing it, and so would Sina, that what the effect of that was on you. That's, and to the viewers. I mean, that's an amazing story. Thank you, Keith.
All right, thank you, Rick.